What is up, guys? I'm Andres.
It's RB3.
I'm Sabrina.
And this is the Meaning of Podcast, the podcast where we talk about your favorite filmmakers and the deeper meaning within their films. We are doing an Oscar review, an post-Oscar reaction. Even though it's been quite a few days after the Oscars, we're still going to react to it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
First off, right off the bat, we all saw the Oscars together, which was really fun. We had that opportunity to see it at the Collider ArcLight screening, which was kind of fun. But first things first, Sabrina.
Yes.
I have to go to you because you're going to be taking off a little bit later.
Yeah.
So first thing, we have to talk about the big moment.
Yeah.
Parasite wins Best Picture.
Oh my God. I was sitting right next to you guys, so you guys obviously know this, but I screamed out loud. I had no
I think
idea.
we all did, right?
We all did,
Oh, yeah.
I started.
Yeah, everybody in the theater. Jane Fonda's pause was flawless. That little half a second pause, and then she's like, Parasite. And I'm like, yes. I am ecstatic. I really am so happy. Even seeing all the behind the scenes footage and everything for after the show. Just having, we talked about this before, how Bong was kind of changing Hollywood a little bit, changing our perception of filmmaking and everything, calling the Oscars a local award show and then picking up the biggest prize, a few of the biggest prizes, the top ones like Best Director, Best Picture. I mean, those are so
Best
important.
Screenplay.
Best Screenplay. I mean, it is absolutely incredible, and I'm so happy that happened and we were able to watch it all together.
What do you think this does? This what do you think this means? Does this mean anything for the future of the academies?
I think it definitely does. Even the articles that kind of were running where people were like, I don't want to watch Parasite because of the subtitles. I think something like this, a film like Parasite, Bong Joon-ho's impact on what he did this year could kind of change all of their minds. I would really hope that people that are in the academy or people that care about film wouldn't divert away from a film just because of subtitles, just because it is foreign. So I think this is definitely for the future years to come. I think something like this will kind of have a huge impact.
Do you think we're going to get more international features that are nominated for Best Picture, or do you think we're going to get maybe a bigger pool of diverse directors and actors that are nominated? Is that kind of the direction we're headed?
I think so, definitely. Obviously, when we have a film up to caliber like Parasite, if there's an international feature that comes out that is on the same level of our Best Pictures and or are better, like how Parasite was, I would really hope that it would get the recognition. And I have this surprised me so much. I talked about it last week where I said I didn't have faith in the Academy to do this, to give it foreign and to give it Best Picture. And so this really kind of gave me that little hope for next year, for the next year, kind of looking out for features like this, for diverse backgrounds for the directors and everything. Even Jojo Rabbit winning adapted screenplay, even though I talked about how much I obviously wanted Little Women because I love Greta Gerwig, even him being one of the first Indigenous people, because I don't think he was actually the first, to win an Oscar, incredible. I mean, all these fresh voices, having them get their moment, get their recognition, I think that's just paving the way for a better future.
It's funny hearing you say that because, I mean, full disclosure, we did an Oscar reaction to the nominations and we were very critical of how it's the same old people picking the same old movies with the same old directors.
Yeah.
I mean, they still, for this being such a victory for a movie like Parasite, there was still pretty much all white women except for Cynthia, pretty much just all white dudes, pretty much the same kind of nominees and nominations. Do you think that's going to change? Not necessarily international films, but people of color being nominated, or movies that are different, that have different voices and different backgrounds. Do you think that specifically will change?
I really hope so. I even think because people were calling the Academy out during the show, people were saying things. Even that opening just did not sit well with me. I don't know about you guys. Having Midsommar, Us, Dolomite, I thought it was just kind of okay, we liked your films, but you guys didn't get any kind of recognition. But I thought that was such a cheap way to kind of give that low-key recognition.
Yeah, no, it's funny hearing you say that because I'll say something real quick.
I know. I heard your reactions as it was happening.
Well, to me, this was the Academy saying, "Oh, we're so sorry, we didn't nominate any people of color or any movies that you guys like. Here's Look at Dance Routine. Here's Janelle Monáe. Here's rapping.
Let's pay Janelle Monáe $1 million to say I'm a black queer woman and I'm proud of the Academy.
Exactly. Let's have Ellen Ripley and Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman.
That was great.
Say something. That was great, but it's the whole thing felt like an apology of the Academy being like, look, we're diverse and we're cool with the presenters and with the dancers.
It was an overcompensation. So it didn't sit right.
It felt like them being like...
With the Eminem performance.
With the Eminem thing. Like,
even though I kind of... okay, so that came out of nowhere. I kind of thought it was a little cool because I guess when he won, he didn't perform that year.
No. I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm sorry about that.
All good.
I'm saying like it still felt like them being like, I thought it was fun. But it felt like them being like, look, hip-hop, rap. We nominated a rapper once.
Yeah, young people.
Young people.
Show.
Yeah.
And it just felt like nominate them for stuff. Don't just have them to sing songs or dance or present awards. Don't have Kelly Marie Tran be like, nominate Kelly Marie Tran. Put her in a movie. Or don't have this guy give it an award. Don't have Oscar Isaac put a movie where he's in it. Like, put that kind of background. That's what we want to see. Yeah. We want to see movies like Midsommar and Us get nominated, not be dancers in the background.
The thing about it...
So that's why I'm like still very critical of it, because as much as I'm very positive on the Parasite win, I'm still like very skeptical of any change actually happening. So it's refreshing to hear your very positive take of being like, oh yeah, it's going to change.
No, I don't. I said I would hope. I said I would really hope, just because this gave me more faith in the Academy. Obviously, we did talk about the nominations when they came out, and I still think some of them were kind of like bogus, but the people who ended up winning, most of the people, I'm like, yeah, I see that. You know, even if it wasn't my personal choice, I can get behind this. So that was something I got excited about. But obviously, the fact that there was only one person of color nominated, or one black woman nominated or one black person nominated for any category for the acting, that is absolutely ludicrous. And even just with the snubs with Us, with the snubs from Midsommar, a few years ago with Hereditary, I just hope these kind of genre films, if you're up to caliber as the rest of these, why wouldn't you get accepted into this?
Right. So here's my thing to you. When I read headlines saying Parasite, proves that the Oscars are diverse, look at this. And then at the same time to hear you say that, where it's only one person of color was even nominated. Yeah. Is that even the case?
Well, because Antonio Banderas was nominated.
Is he Spaniard or is he?
Yeah, he's Spanish. But you see what I'm saying? Like, those headlines of being like, look, we got Parasite all the awards. That means we're cool now. We're diverse and hip and cool. Yeah. Is that really the case, though?
Yeah.
I'm asking, do you think so?
With some of the stuff, it could have been like some of the people were voting and they're like, you know what, let's just do this. Let's just give it to them. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping next year it's reflected more in the nominations. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And we're gonna be right here. We're gonna be arguing about the nominations when they come out next year. And hopefully we don't have the same kind of, I don't know, like sour taste when we were looking at that list from this year.
Did you see the nominations for the Independent Spirit Awards?
Yes.
Wasn't that just so refreshing?
Remember when I talked about it? Yeah. I said this, and I know it's only independent films that they celebrate, but it genuinely, most of the time, this reflects my choices more than any other award show.
Clemency, The Farewell, these are great movies. And Uncut Gems, those were the movies that they were, Alma Harrell, Honey Boy, those were the people that were nominated for the Independent Spirit Awards. But all right, Sabrina, thank you so much. Where can the good people find you on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SabrinaXMonica. I'm peacing out today.
Yeah, is there like a favorite moment you had real quick though?
Favorite moment, Cynthia Erivo's performance was stunning. Yeah. Incredible.
And that was a great song. I've never heard it. So I was
neither did I. It was so good. And then obviously Bong Joon-ho winning for director, and then Parasite Best Picture, just because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't at all. It really was kind of like a huge pleasant surprise seeing all the looks on the actors' faces, how excited everybody else was. Baumbach, Gerwig, how people were congratulating them, him calling out Scorsese, and just Tarantino. It was really cool to see that celebration, because that's when it feels, this is a celebration of film. This is one of the one of the most important of the year. So to see them actually in their speeches in this moment celebrating film as a whole, it was beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sabrina.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. We're going to continue this conversation with RB3 and I, so make sure you guys stick around.
This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh. With the 4/5 divide you in half. You getting at me equals a club laugh. You do the math, take you out the equation.
The following clip is from the first annual Cuddy Awards, available on First Cut. Enjoy.
So we have to pick one out of those?
No, we get to pick two. Saoirse, Florence, Awkwafina.
We put Awkwafina.
Florence and Awkwafina.
You guys are taking out Saoirse Ronan.
I didn't see Little Women, man. I don't know.
You say Saoirse Ronan over Awkwafina since we've both seen both.
Yeah, we've both seen Little Women. Yeah.
You don't have.
Well, see, I didn't even finish The Farewell, so like that's not even fair for me to say Awkwafina over Saoirse
Okay,
too.
so
I can't even.
So some of us got to fight right now.
Yeah.
Some of us got to fight.
This is gonna be a
What do you
fight.
mean?
We gotta fight.
No, you gotta fight. No, you gotta defend Florence Pugh, man.
Oh, I'm not taking out Florence Pugh.
I say Florence Pugh and Oh my god, that's so hard. I really do love them all because Awkwafina. All these three were on my original list.
Yeah.
So that's what's making it difficult.
Yeah.
And that's where I might take out Renee for Judy.
Renee for Judy? No.
I think I might.
But she's literally gonna win. Like she's gonna win the actual Oscar,
but like,
right?
No, I'm cool. I'm cool.
We have to rep Judy. I mean, this is. You think Joaquin Phoenix had it tough? Like this is a tough performance.
Saoirse Ronan's
and Judy's an
incredible.
all-time.
Okay,
icon.
fine. I will.
We have to
She's
knock off
nominated
Awkwafina.
every year.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll say fine. Florence Pugh and Awkwafina.
Okay.
Because
All right, we'll knock off
I love
Awkwafina.
all three. So
I mean, we could do so. I mean, we could do so.
Officially, our nominees are
Lupita Nyong'o for Us, Scarlett Johansson Marriage Story, Renee Zellweger for Judy, Florence Pugh for Midsommar, and Awkwafina for The Farewell.
perfect.
Yeah.
Those are great nominations.
Yeah.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What is up, guys? We're back talking about the 2020 Oscars. Now, I'm going to pretty much give all the questions I had lined up here for Sabrina to you, RB3.
Uh-oh.
Big thing in the room is obviously Parasite wins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We already reacted to that.
Whoop, whoop.
So we don't have to do the reaction again. What do you think this means, man? Does it mean anything at all? I'm talking about the future of the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Are we going to see changes? Are we going to see any movement as far as the nominations for Best Picture?
Well, fortunately, the movements that people poo-pooed on, like Oscar So White and the movement that we saw this year, people poo-pooed on it, but look at the winners that it produced. 2016 Oscars gave us Moonlight. This Oscars gave us Parasite. I would argue that these are the two best movies that have won Best Picture in the last decade. So, like, when you look at how the influence of having people of color backing your film, not just people of color, just like film makers and film goers and young film fans in general get passionate behind a movie. Look at the kind of push that it could get. Like, we wouldn't have never seen Parasite win an Oscar, I think, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But because they've been shitting the bed with all the nominations and the ratings have continually gone down, they're finally starting to recognize, okay, maybe this whole narrow-minded white savior type shit that we've been going for, I.A. Green Book, maybe those kind of movies just aren't going to do it anymore. Maybe we should try switching things up. And for once, they actually gave the best movie of the year Best Picture. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I saw you tweet that out. A lot of people tweeted that out, to be fair. And to be fair, a lot of film critics, film fans, movie directors, artists put Parasite as their number one. I did not. And I think it's very debatable to say what is the best movie of the year. And obviously, the vast majority, I would agree with you, the vast majority of people would concur that the consensus is that Parasite was the best movie of 2019.
Yeah.
Just because it's not my best movie doesn't mean
It's not the best movie.
that I can be outvoted. I'm outvoted, obviously, by that. But I can also argue that 2016, my favorite movie that year was La La Land. In 2019, I would go to 1917 was incredible. I could give it that. I could argue that those two were in there. But there's a big but. It doesn't matter because what matters is the moment, and what matters is the future of the Academy Awards, and what matters is giving recognition to Korean cinema and a different flavor of
First
directors.
time a South Korean film has ever been nominated for.
That's huge, man.
Yeah. And that goes to speak to obviously. South Korea didn't have a film market for a very, very long time. It really only started developing in the late 80s, early 90s. And filmmakers like Bong Joon-ho, like Park Won-chan, and all these like great Korean filmmakers have really pioneered and pushed the envelope for Korean cinema to where it could build and crescendo to this point. Obviously, films like Oh Boy, I think, is one of the best Korean films I've ever seen. We had a whole episode on Bong Joon-ho and how Memories of Murder, and The Host are some of the greatest movies, of recent times.
You can even talk about recently Train to Busan.
Train to Busan.
The Man from Nowhere is a movie I've been talking about since I was like 15 when I first saw it.
Right.
Which is a gangster movie.
Exactly. I mean, all types of gangster movies. I mean, and
they make great gangster movies.
I mean, they do, and they make great movies in general.
They do.
And this is the first time we're seeing that kind of recognition cross over.
Which is why I actually think this does matter in the sense of how we view international cinema and how we view that. However, what I just asked to Sabrina is kind of the same thing I'll ask you. I thought the whole awards show was very much like an apology or almost like a course correction where they just kept putting up presenters of color and they kept showing Janelle Monáe dancing.
It was bullshit.
It felt very much. And then the awards they gave out themselves were great, right? We got, a women composer, a female composer who won Best Score. We got Bong Joon-ho. We got Taika Waititi. Like, it felt very much like, oh, this is great. But at the same time, we still have to realize, like, the vast majority of the nominees were still pretty much all white dudes.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of the same nominees. Does this really mean that the 2020 Oscars was actually diverse and we were just blind to it?
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show that, the best movies were the diverse movies, were the best screenplay, the best adapted screenplay was written by Taika Waititi. The best film was done by a South Korean filmmaker, produced with South Korean money. Like, they, at the end of the day, they made the right choices. And I think while the nominations were terrible, the reason why we were crying and screaming to the rooftops why the nominations were terrible was because there were so many better movies that could have been in contention. And I think this year might have been a lot more competitive for something like a Parasite if another movie like The Farewell had jumped into the race. I think the Renee Zellweger performance for Judy would have had a little more competition if Lupita Nyong'o was in there. There are spots, even best supporting actress. I mean, shit, nobody agrees with me now, but I still think J-Lo was dope in Hustlers. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that would have made for a more exciting, attention-grabbing award ceremony. So. I think if they would have experimented a little bit and had the rest of the nominees represent the winners, because the winners they picked are great. They picked the best possible winners out of the nominees that they had. It's just if they would have put forward a little more effort into ensuring that the rest of the nominees reflected the quality of cinema that was 2019. Instead of, shit like, I like Joker, but, Joker had 11 nominations. I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had like 8 nominations, If they would have instead put up movies like Us, if they instead would have put up movies like Uncut Gems or all the stuff that we saw at the Independent Spirit Awards, I think more people would have been more excited and it would have been more competitive race.
Can I just, you mentioned it, so I'm going to go off you. Best Director for the Independent Spirit Awards. The Safdie brothers, Alma Harrell, Honey Boy, Lorene Scafaria, Hustlers, Julius Ona, Loose, and Robert Eggers, The Lighthouse.
Yeah, that was a strong 5.
I mean, best female lead, Renee Zellweger, Karen Allen Colwell, Hong Chu, Driveways, Elizabeth Moss, Her Smell, Mary Kay Place, Diane, and Alfred Woodard for Clemency. I mean, those are great nominees. Best male lead, Adam Sandler, Uncut Gems, Chris Galet, Give Me Liberty, Calvin Harrison for Loose, Robert Pattinson, The Lighthouse, and Matthias Schoenaerts for The Mustang. I mean, supporting female lead, Xiao Zuzhen for The Farewell, she won. Yeah. Jennifer Lopez, there you go, The Hustlers. Taylor Russell for Waves. I mean, Lauren Lolo Spencer for Give Me Liberty.
That's like 4 people of color right
Octavia Spencer for Loose.
Yeah, that's 5 people of color right there. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, there is...
It could have went away.
There is a way to do it, man.
But it's the money, it's the connections. I mean, somebody said it perfect. I don't know if it was on one of the Collider shows or something, but somebody said it perfect. The nominees, it's not even about like what's the quality of the film. It's I know him. My agent used to represent him. Maybe I'll vote for him. His manager is also a good friend of mine, so let me just make sure I write him in. We want to celebrate each other. My client is representing this songwriter, so let's put that in Best Original Song. Like, how the fuck did the Breakthrough song get through, man? Like, what the fuck nobody heard that song?
To be fair,
it was a good song.
I
It's a
just
good
don't
song.
know any other songs that were in movies.
No, you got to get Beyonce that look, man. You got to get Beyonce that look for the Lion King joint.
Which one though?
Any of them. I mean,
Because I heard like 10 seconds of Spirit when we saw it, and I was like, all right.
I mean, but damn,
like
bro.
10 seconds.
Would you rather have seen Beyonce perform at the Academy Awards than whoever old girl was who did the Christian song?
Yeah, it's not.
Wouldn't that have been way better? And by the way, you talk about not even trying to get. Everybody's like, oh, the ratings are so low. Like,
I want to get to that, so
yeah.
don't jump the gun. I think I know what you're gonna say. If
Yeah.
you can just talk about the music.
Yeah.
I'll get to that. But my thing. Let's finish up the Parasite talk.
Yeah.
The thing about Parasite is, it's such a great moment, and we got best screenplay, best director for Bong Joon-ho,
Yeah.
and best picture.
By the time he hit Best Director, I was like, it got to win Best Picture. There's no way it could win this many awards and not win Best Picture.
So I think that's a great opportunity for the future of international cinema. That's exactly what I tweeted out. It's much more about international cinema, in my opinion. This is my opinion. You can correct me. Than it is about necessarily people of color that make American movies. I think the Academy has a way to kind of say, hey, we're going to recognize those people all over the world, but not necessarily any other diverse groups of people that live in this country and make movies.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
100%.
So that's my issue. My issue is that a lot of people are celebrating this as like the Oscars are diverse finally, and it's like, are they?
Yeah.
They're still all white nominees. I mean, I props to Taika, and I really am so happy for Taika Waititi, a guy that I've loved since Flight of the Conchords, which is like 10, 15 years ago. So I followed his career for a while, and I'm very happy for him, and I'm so happy for Bong in Korea in general. But at the same time, I still see so many flaws and so much lack of diversity in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Academy looks at international and I applaud them for going towards a more international route because there's so many good movies overseas.
There's so many good movies.
I think in their minds, celebrating a prestigious South Korean film is a lot more acceptable than accepting or recognizing a medium budget black horror movie. I think it's just a tougher sell for them. So if obviously if the international route, I mean, last year Roma had a good look too. I think if Roma would have been this year, this would have also been a good push for Roma too to have that to take over. And I think They talked about expanding their membership. I know a lot of their membership expansion happened with like overseas and international filmmakers as well, so that could play a big part into it too.
That helped a lot.
But again, they have to bring in more people from the United States, more black men, black women, Latino men, or not even men and women, Latino people. You know what I mean? Non-binary. Let's hear some queer voices. Let's hear some Asian American voices. I love seeing Parasite recognized, but why not The Farewell? That has a distinctly American type of feel to it. But there's a lot of areas that they could improve. There's a lot of areas that they could take note from and how to make the right decisions for not only creating a war show that represents Hollywood, like all of Hollywood from the bottom to the top, but also represent something to the young people who are watching at home. Because I think the Oscars are supposed to be something that inspires a young generation to get into movies. But when we look at these nominees, like there's nothing for young people of color to look up to besides Parasite.
Can I go off that? And I'm gonna, I'm gonna stir up some things, but I have to because I'm very honest, and this is what I feel. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The fact that two things. Number one, the Oscar ratings are down. We'll talk about that because there's a lot of reasons why. But the biggest one for me is that I know there's been a lot of weird racist feedback for Parasite winning Best Picture. I don't want to talk about that because that's stupid. But there has to be something said. I always say this because I do go back home to Arizona quite a few times during the year. And there's other parts of this country where, dude, and I have to tell this to so many people, the vast majority of people haven't seen Parasite and don't have a way to see it. Like, a lot of people are, just go see it, just go find it. And I'm like, where? Oh, you can just find it. You can find it
You can
online.
you can rent it on Amazon
Like,
now.
where though? Like, you see what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't have Amazon.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, you can just go watch the movie. These idiots are dummies and they don't want to read subtitles. That's not always the case. My family would watch it, but there's nowhere to see it. The fact is, Parasite wasn't a movie that a lot of people saw in this country. Not necessarily by the fault of their own. They just don't have access to it. And the fact that there's so many movies that we're putting up in the forefront that the vast majority of people don't have access to, that are not watching these movies, not because they're uncultured people who are dummies that live in Georgia. No, they don't
get to their theaters.
They don't get to the theater. They live in Wisconsin. They live in Ohio. They live in the Midwest. They don't and I feel like it's unfair for us to be like, you dummies don't like Parasite. And they're like, we just haven't seen it. We don't get all the hype because we haven't seen the movie. I just feel like there's something to be said about the Academy Awards still being a very pristine, one percenters, rich people who live on the coast, New York and LA, who have access to these movies. Yeah. And I think that's a little unfair that we keep nominating these movies without providing access for people to watch them.
Yeah, hey man, that's why I'm a champion for the streaming networks, man. You know, that's why I champion Netflix.
I'm actually kind of, and I get you, and I've seen a lot of interviews over these past few days talking about the power of streaming, and the more I hear about it, the more I'm kind of leaning towards you, because you're right. You do have a little bit more access to other people who can watch it. I listened to an interview from the directors of American Factory talking about the fact that the reason why they joined Netflix is the fact that they were like, look, we're making a documentary. It's not going to be in theaters that long. Why not choose a streaming platform where the people that we're actually making the doc about, which is blue-collar workers from Ohio, can actually watch this movie? Yeah. They're not going to drive out to their art house theater 4 hours away in Ohio to watch it. They can watch it at home, and this is about them. Yeah. Let's let them watch it, which is why I'm glad Netflix is doing that.
Yeah.
However, there's still a lot of movies that don't have that, like Neon, like A24, that don't have the huge theater releases.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a little still, the Academy still has this little bit too kind of white-collar one percenters. Look at us. Look at the kind of movies we watch. Look at you dumbasses, don't like these movies. And it's like, they're not dumbasses, they just don't have access to them. And I feel like it's a little unfair for us to be like, you should like Parasite, when they haven't seen it. And I feel like this has to be said when ratings are so low. And I'm not saying this is why ratings are low. There's many reasons why. However, this is one of the reasons why, man. Like, we keep nominating movies that are great, but not a lot of people have seen them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, do you nominate the popular movie that's a piece of shit, or do you nominate the indie movie that's really, really great? I personally love the fact that Parasite is a low-budget film that people can explore, because it now has more opportunity to make more money. And then the more money it's going to make, it's probably going to inspire Neon to do more bigger releases and to expand their horizons even further. Because we saw after A24, after they won for Moonlight, they exploded. Like, they started they're cranking out like 20 movies a year almost. I hope that's something that Neon could experience too. I'm hoping that a lot of these independent.
Is it Neon shut down?
Is it? I don't know. I mean, I heard they're still expanding Parasite.
No, it's not Neon. I'm thinking of another one. Annapurna.
Annapurna. I mean, there's a lot of bad business decisions on that end, but there's no reason they need to spend $100 million on Vice, for example. But I do think that, you know, if prompting up the independent movie does allow for these independent distributors to get bigger and to have more, have more expansion of things they can produce. I'm happy with that. I applaud that, and I hope that eventually, I think eventually people are going to realize that the theatrical model just isn't very practical like anymore these days. It's tough to make money, especially for smaller movies, for foreign movies to have that kind of impact. So hopefully they collapse the window a little bit to where maybe after it hits maybe pretty much almost as soon as after it hits theaters, it can start hitting the streaming services. Instead of having that weird 2-month delay of where can I watch it now? It's not in theaters and now in streaming. But it's only
that's the vast majority though.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they could do a better job of that. Now on the flip side though, what I don't want them to do is just start nominating shit for the sake of nominating it. Because I think, or nominating popular movies for the sake of nominating them. Because they clearly did that with Joker this year. And Joker's stood out like a sore thumb when it came to like the rest of the nominees and the winners. Yeah.
Quality-wise, you did.
Quality-wise. So, yeah, I mean, that's, but I hope that there can be a good balance. Maybe, I predict that this decade, 2020, 2030, that this is the decade where the independent film is going to come back on top. I think this is the decade where we're going to see more young filmmakers rise to prominence. And I think, like I said in previous episodes, the 80s were a time period where we see a lot of the veterans from like the 70s making like these commercial movies, conglomerates taking over the movie industry. Coca-Cola, I believe, was buying Columbia Pictures during that time in the 80s. All these toy companies were starting to prop up. So I think during that time, movies became really commercial. And I think 30 years later, in the 2010s, we're experiencing that as well. But what happened at the end of the 80s, early 90s, we saw the independent movement break out. We saw Sundance Film Festival start to pick up. We saw filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino, Spike Lee, all of these, Steven Soderbergh, all of these cutting-edge filmmakers rise to the top. And I think in 2020, through 2030, we're going to see a lot of that happen this decade as well.
My thing, too, is the fact that the independent structure, the movie theater structure, is something that I still go back to the Martin Scorsese article, talking about the idea of theaters and how much you spend time on theaters, how much it costs to be in theaters, and how do these independent movies, first of all, make money, but second of all, how do people even watch them? I still feel like, what movie would have been like, I feel, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
If it had a bigger release, and I'm sure the release was huge. I'm sure it was big. But I'm saying bigger and maybe a tiny bit more marketing. I think Uncut Gems, I think like Homie from Ohio, My Mom from Arizona, Homies in Tech, like all over that movie. I think everyone would have liked that movie.
Yeah.
That movie should have been huge.
Yeah,
Adam
commercial.
Sandler.
I think it's the biggest A24 movie.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And for good reason, because I think that's a very almost all, obviously not all quadrants, but it's a very widespread, a lot of adults of all ages can like this movie, 18 to 49.
Every black person I spoke to who watched that movie said they loved it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it is that kind of movie that has a kinetic energy and the kind of vibe and story structure that's both. Like, I was talking to my sister-in-law about it, who doesn't watch a lot of movies anymore, and she was talking to me like that was her favorite movie of the year, and I was like, talking to someone who doesn't watch a lot of movies, and she said Uncut Gems was her favorite of the year, made me realize, like, these are the kind of movies that we should prop up, and it's still like an A24 movie, and it's really high quality, but it's an opportunity for people to go out and see that. The problem is the theater chains are still a little too focused on the big blockbuster movies.
Because it pulls in the most
Disney
popcorn
movies.
Sales, the most drink beverages sales, most pre-sales.
Merchandise, which is huge. Theater connections to that. And it's like, what are we accomplishing here? I think if we keep going this route in 30, 40 years, what is the Oscars even going to be? Is it even going to exist anymore?
Yeah.
The ratings are going to be so low that it's going to be like, watch the Oscars on YouTube, or not even have the Oscars at all, because there's no movies that are people watching enough to nominate to even care. Like, you're nominating all these movies that is in theaters for 2 days in New York. Where are people going to watch it, man? Like,
well, I think that's
an issue.
That's what I think. Not just the Oscars. All award shows have been dropping in ratings recently.
All of them,
and I think it's a big part of, like you're saying, it's like the exclusivity factor, right? Like, why do they get to see movies before we see them? Like, why can I enjoy this thing now?
And where can I see this movie?
Where can I see them? And then
you look it up and you're like, I can't see this movie.
And I think it just, it goes to show how disconnected the Academy has always been. They've always been disconnected. I think all of the award shows, the Grammys are disconnected.
To be fair, I feel like, and this is me being from someone who didn't grow up in LA, I feel like LA is disconnected in general from the rest of the world.
And that's why I think people have sour grapes about, these movies, about the Oscars in general. Like, why would I want to see these pompous assholes go up there and make their fucking political speeches that they have no intent on, like, backing up? Now, granted, I thought the political speeches this year were actually kind of
I like
good.
the political speeches, I will debate anyone who goes against that, because to me it's like that's your moment. If you want to say something, you say something. If I worked my whole life to do a documentary short and I want to say something, I'm a damn say something.
See,
that's what I would do.
That's the thing. Like, the documentary short people, the people who you know that they know what they're talking about, that's who I like hearing from. The documentary people, the short film people. The one lady who said, like, I've won my first Student Academy Award in 1977, and now I'm barely winning this now. Like, you know, she's coming from like a real perspective. The same thing, even I said last year, the only real political speech last year was Spike Lee. But I'm okay with Spike Lee giving that speech because Spike Lee is Spike Lee. Like, he's been woke since the fucking 80s. Like, he's been preaching about social justice and everything from the very beginning. A lot of times when most actors, you know, and I hate to call out Meryl Streep, but I don't like the fact that, you know, somebody like Meryl Streep could go up there and be like, Donald Trump is an awful human being. We got like 100 pictures of Weinstein. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, you know, that's what I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. That's kind of nasty. But on the flip side though, I hope that the Academy Award winners can actually live up to the things that they're living up to. I thought Joaquin Phoenix's speech was actually really good.
I thought so too.
He actually talked about something.
Yeah.
Like, and I had a real perspective on it and offered like solutions and shit like that. So
I like political speeches, and it's not just because I mostly agree with what they're saying, but to me it's like that's your opportunity. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
So if they want to say that, say it.
Yeah, I like they can say whatever they want. I just wish they'd act on it. You know what I mean? I wish that every year a white actor went up there and was like, oh, you know, all the people of color, they're so wonderful. You have to support them. You have to hire them. Why don't you hire them? Why don't you hire somebody? Why don't you give the Oscar that you just won? I mean, you can't literally do this, but why don't you take the light off of yourself, get the egomania shit out of here because you have to campaign for these awards. You have to campaign for them. Why don't you go out there and back somebody, a person of color
That's true.
who's big?
But to be fair, I think a few of them do, man.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
But now Natalie Portman had the whole thing where she like embroidered the dresses and like the directors. But bruh, like somebody said it on Twitter, like she only has 2 films that she's ever done that were directed by a woman. Like she's only. Why isn't her production company spearheading like a female directors movement? Meanwhile, people like Ava DuVernay, who's actually
fair, I don't think her production company really does much. Yeah. I think that's a hypercritical analysis.
But meanwhile, people like Ava DuVernay are actually making changes and actually having multiple TV shows where it's all female and women of color directing every episode of TV, actually employing people of color, actually having a film production company and a film showcase, her array company that she's doing, that they're literally promoting Black excellence, Black wealth, and women empowerment, people of color empowerment, all of these women of color empowerment in film all through her thing. But yet they don't want to nominate her for Selma. They don't want to nominate her. They don't want to give her the Oscar for 13th. They don't want to give her any Emmys for When They See Us. But meanwhile, Michelle Williams could go up stage and be like, yeah, like, let's not drink milk and let's hire people of color. And then what is she doing? Like, what was...
To be fair, I will actually defend Natalie Portman. I think her focus has always been on the Me Too movement. She was the first one I saw kind of sponsoring that. And she does like Me Too like speeches like every day, like every week. She's doing a speech in a different part of the country talking about the Me Too movement and talking about women all over the world who are experiencing that. And that's just because I follow her on Instagram, and that's everything she does. Right. I think that's mainly her focus more than film. I haven't seen her in a movie in like 8 years. Yeah. So to criticize her for not making a movie about a woman is kind of... I haven't seen... Like, when was the last time you seen Natalie Portman in a movie, bro?
Yeah. Well,
see what I'm saying? Like, I will back Natalie. I will back Natalie.
I kind of get that, but at the same time, it's like... Put your money where your mouth is. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously she could be donating to plenty of Me Too organizations and everything like that.
I think she does, bro. I mean, like, she's like one of the creative directors of like the Spearhead movement.
Awesome. Hire some women of color to direct your movies. Like, put people in those positions.
Though? What I'm saying,
she could produce movies. She could do whatever she wants.
Yeah,
people have power. You can advocate in other ways than just wearing a dress and giving speeches. And listen, like, I love Natalie Portman. Like, I don't mean like any disrespect, like by any means, because like I think she's a great actress, brilliant, and Harvard graduate and everything. But that's the exact kind of attitude that people at home, people in the Midwest, people like me watching from the cold streets of Compton, California, looking at this lady on screen, like, yo, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're here broke, and you're here talking all this like, we support this, we support. No, put your support, do something, take a step forward and away from this like pompous kind of attitude. Now, maybe it's not pompous. Maybe she actually is doing the work.
I think she is,
but
man.
yeah,
I'm
she
just
could
being real.
be. But
I'm with you on like I'm with you
But-
on
but you see
Meryl.
what I- but you-
I'm with you on some other ones, but Natalie, to me,
But-
she's been in the grind.
But you see the perception here, right? You see
Yes,
the perception
I see
of
it.
like, yeah, this is just somebody who's speaking and not acting.
Yes.
And she could be acting, but yeah, make those actions. Spread them out a little bit. I mean, the Me Too movement is great. Let's see some women of color. Let's see some women of color speaking at your events.
I'm
Let's
with
see
you.
all of that.
I'm with you because to me, it's always been this. Again, this is something that I'm really passionate about, so I don't want to get too strong. But I'm with you on especially when it comes to a lot of the white actors who kind of get on their high horse and don't really do much.
Yeah.
And kind of do the same thing over and over again. And that's why I'm hypercritical of some of the people you like. So I won't name names, but
Yeah, some people I like.
Yeah.
Ooh, like who?
like bro, it's the same. Like, no offense, bro. Like, it's the same damn movies that were like Quentin Tarantino,
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, it's great skin success.
Like, I'm not saying they're not great movies, but I'm saying like come on, let's just
Okay. Oh, by the
let's
way,
throw in like Lulu Wang.
yeah,
Take out-
absolutely. I
take
I
out-
agree. I agree.
Take
with
out
taking out
Tarantino and put in Lulu Wang.
I
Come
agree
on.
with that. I agree.
See what I'm
I
saying?
said that myself. Yeah, I said that myself. I'm not saying Tarantino should be. All right, listen, I love Tarantino. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That movie had no business having as many award nominations as it had. There's no way this movie can out-nominate Django. Like, no, that's stupid. No.
But to be fair,
but
a lot
also-
of people are calling it the greatest movie of the year,
No.
and it's Tarantino's best. And
No,
we should worship.
Nobody should be calling it
the
that.
feet of
Nobody should be
Tarantino.
calling it that. It's his worst movie. This is where we should be worshiping at the feet of Margot Robbie because it's all we see in the fucking movie.
That's what I'm saying.
But here's also. But you know what though? Here's what I loved that Bong shot at this out because I really didn't even realize. I didn't even realize it until he talked
Yeah.
about it in his director's speech how Tarantino puts. Bong's movies on a lot of his best of year list. And now that I'm thinking about it, I literally would not have heard of Bong Joon-ho if I did not see Tarantino recommending his movies every time he put out a movie. So I do respect Tarantino for putting his foot forward and actually showing that recognition. Because at the end of the day, I think part of the reason why Bong is such a popular American acceptable filmmaker is because of how many cosigns that Tarantino has given him over the years and how many cosigns Tarantino has given to all sorts of international filmmakers. So, salute to him on that. And I'm glad that, Bong shouted him out. I'm glad that he shouted out Scorsese. I like that he was like, Todd, Sam, y'all have great movies too. But yeah.
I think he just ran out of time.
Yeah. I don't think he had anything like super nice to say about either of those. But
I don't think he knows him that well.
Yeah. But that was nice seeing Scorsese getting that now. And but overall, it's the Academy Awards, man. What can you expect?
I know. I just feel like we see names like Scorsese and Tarantino on a ballot for 2019 movies, and we automatically feel like, oh, we have to nominate them because it's Tarantino.
Yeah,
and
but they didn't
Scorsese.
give The Irishman a
And it's
single award.
I know.
I was the only one in the when we saw it. I was the only one clapping like, yeah, The Irishman, yeah. Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Not even VFX, man. That hurt. That hurt. Nah, get out of here. Hey, people, if you're watching at home, go on Netflix and watch The Irishman. I'm telling you, nobody else is gonna fucking praise this movie anymore, but I am. Irishman is a great fucking movie. Great fucking movie.
That's my thing too, and obviously we talked about it at nauseum, so I won't go into it again. But again, sitting down at home and watching a 3.5-hour movie, the vast majority of Americans don't have the energy, don't have the time, don't have the attention span to do that.
Yeah.
That's why you
Well,
go watch a movie in a theater
that's not
where you're forced to sit in the theater, forced to put away your phone, and watch what's on the screen the entire time.
Listen, the fact
that's
that
the importance of a theater.
The fact that I watched The Irishman on the theater,
I did.
and I loved it, and then I
watched-
to watch. I got to go home and watch it on Netflix and go back to the scenes that I love the most and celebrate it more. I'm telling you, I wouldn't love this movie as much as I love it if I didn't get to go on Netflix every single day and be like, how's that scene looking? Just getting in there and having fun with it. And honestly, I preach on my little hilltop about access a lot because I remember just being fucking poor in Compton, and literally having my heart broken every time Oscar season come around. I'm like, fuck, I've seen 8 out of 9 of these nominated movies because they're just not available anywhere nearby. So now that Netflix has this big presence, now that Amazon has this big presence, and again, I think maybe, I don't know what the deal. They gave Jeff Bezos 4 jokes during the show, but they didn't nominate Honey Boy for anything. I thought that was a little absurd. But yeah, again, I hope to see more streaming services just have the most access to as many of these movies as possible.
Yes, there's good and bad for streaming services. I feel like streaming services can provide something like a Netflix where they offer a lot of stuff. The problem is sometimes it gets buried. That's always been my issue, is that sometimes Netflix has such a long catalog that it gets buried. However, there's also deals that Netflix has with these filmmakers and with these producers and with these studios who make movies for Netflix, right? So not everyone has that sort of access. So it's not like all these movies are going to be on Netflix automatically or eventually, because they're not going to be bought out by Netflix. So that's an issue. You know, you have to work with what you got, which is a movie theater and a limited release, which is unfortunate. All right, let's jump to the big thing, man. This is one of the all-time low Oscar ratings viewings ever.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Yeah. I mean, again, award shows are dying out in general. I think that, when, again, there's this distance between Hollywood and the rest of America, and that is just, it's too insurmountable to overcome these days. The fact that, they give Grammys, for example, give Billie Eilish 11 Grammys, but they don't nominate. Obviously they nominated Lizzo and Lil Nas X, but they don't nominate anybody and they're barely starting to recognize Nipsey Hussle, but they don't recognize anybody from the culture, from the actual hip hop, which is the biggest genre in the world. They choose to give that its own subcategory, but meanwhile, obviously Billie Eilish is a big star, but there is not something that the people are connecting with. Same thing with this. People just aren't connecting with this year's Oscars. And, speaking of Billie Eilish, I love Billie Eilish to death. That's probably the biggest star that they had up there. The only real appeal to youth out of everything that the Oscars have presented was Billie Eilish. And they just had her give the fucking not boring, but the toned down in memoriam segment. You know what I mean? And they gave Eminem a performance for some reason. I'm sure if they would have advertised it, I'm sure maybe it would have had higher ratings. But what's the point of having an Eminem performance? In fact, what's the point of having all these fucking music performances? What's going on? People aren't watching the Oscars to watch the Christian movie that nobody watched get their song sung. And nobody's watching the Oscars to see fucking Eminem do a song that's 18 years old for no reason whatsoever. Nah, get out of here. Nobody cares.
I think one of the biggest problems I had with this awards show was all the performances of songs that no one knows.
Yeah.
No one knows the song from that movie Breakthrough. No one knows the Randy Newman song. No one knows the Elton John song because no one saw Elton John. It's not even a song that we know from Elton John.
Yeah, I know. Elton John should have performed one of the hits. He should have just done one of the hits.
My thing is why do we have 10 musical performances during a movie awards show that takes up so much time, and they don't even do a cut down version? They do the whole damn song, bro. I paid attention. It's verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, and I was like, are they doing they do the whole song?
Yeah, and they fucked it
up. The
up.
song is 4.5 minutes or 5.5 minutes. They do it.
And they will fuck it up by just literally having the transitions just happen out of nowhere. Oh, hey, award just got presented. Here's the song. What's going on? Wait, slow down. The Toy Story one I thought was atrocious. They literally just had the camera pan. It's a bunch of trophies with the Toy Stories. Get that out of here. And I thought Cynthia Erivo was clearly the standout. But to me, that's even more of a reason why you should have Beyonce there, man.
Do you think singing the songs that are nominated from the movie should be continued at the Oscars?
If it's popular. I mean, the best part of the 2019 Oscars was the Shallows performance with Bradley and Lady Gaga. I'm sure if Kendrick Lamar and SZA would have performed, that would have been a dope moment too. They should
keep it, you're saying?
They should keep the popular one for sure, the most popular.
But who isn't that kind of unfair to something that got nominated and it's not that popular?
Yeah, but are you also going to bore people? To me, the way more entertaining part was the scores. And I thought when they had the woman conductor there and they had the scores playing with the clips from the movie, I remember back in the 2009 Oscars or 2009 movies for 2010 Oscars, they had all of the original scores being fully conducted by orchestra. But
Hey! Real quick. Molly just wanted to be on camera for a little bit, so she wanted to get her opinion in real quick. So say whatever you want to.
Oh, what's up, dude?
Shut it up. Good seeing you.
Hey, good seeing you too.
Say hi, Molly. I don't want to interrupt like a big point you guys were making.
No worries, man. Hey, look, it's Marcos.
Hey, thanks, boss man.
You got it?
Yeah. Oh shoot. What a surprise.
I forgot what we were saying.
We're keeping all of that in, by the way.
Yeah, I'm 100% keeping it in. I just feel like it just takes up too much time. It just takes up too much time.
Oh, the
and
songs?
It's boring.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get young people in there, and it just doesn't matter.
The 2010 Oscars. Let me say this real quick. They had.
And then we gotta go to break.
Yeah. They had the original scores playing, but with interpretive dancers like doing dances to the song. So they had the score for *Inglourious Basterds*, the score for Avatar. They had the scores for another 2009 or *Hurt Locker*, and they have these interpretive dancers doing like their versions of the movie, but like with dance. That's so much cooler than seeing Elton John half asleep on a piano. That's so much cooler.
Yeah.
I don't know. They got to go back to doing that.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Stick around because after the break, we're going to keep talking about the Oscars and more about changes we can see on the show.
This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh. With the 4/5 divide you in half. You getting at me equals a club half. You do the math, take you out the equation.
The following is from our Birds of Prey review, available on First Cut. Enjoy!
They just kind of butchered the release.
I was going to say, what happened?
It's coming out the weekend of the Oscars. I think people are more focused on maybe seeing some of those films that they missed, like seeing a Parasite, like seeing a 1917. That's what I've heard a lot of people like checking out.
But you think the same people who want to see Parasite want to see this?
I think so, because I think the people that are just now seeing Parasite in 1917 and stuff like that are more general movie-going audiences.
What if they waited 1 week?
That's what I was just going to say. That's what I was just going to say.
I think they were going for the Deadpool thing, right? Where it's like an R-rated, fourth wall breaking character.
Yeah, but they should have done it.
That comes out in February.
Yeah, but Deadpool came out on Valentine's Day.
That's what I
What if
was-
this movie came out Valentine's Day?
I think it would have done a lot better.
I think it would have made double.
Especially 100%. And I was just telling RB3 on the way here, one of the things I would have like thought would be a good idea for it, like kind of coming out Valentine's Day, having that whole like Galentine's type of like take your girls, go see this, like F men, look at this, like watch this movie, even going on a date. Like every time I go on a Valentine's Day date to like the movies, I see like John Wick or like Deadpool or something like that. And I just feel like it would have had a bigger draw coming out at that time. I think it could have really serviced it a lot more.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What is up, guys? We're back talking about the Oscars. Let's just do it, man. Overall, was this an enjoyable show?
It was fun, man. It wasn't that fun, but it was fun seeing the winners. I like seeing the winners, and I like seeing Bong go up 4 times and take the Oscar 4 times. I thought every one of the speeches he gave was great. I thought the Joaquin Phoenix speech, some people didn't like it.
A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it. And I didn't get the backlash, to be honest.
Yeah.
I got what he was saying.
Some people are concerned about the farmers are, getting cheapened out of work because of the veganism message. I think what Joaquin Phoenix was really addressing was factory farming, not necessarily independent, locally owned farming. I think that's something that most people got to understand. But
in the broader part of his message, we'll get to speeches because I want to keep going.
But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I like the speeches. I didn't like any of the musical performances. I thought they botched the Frozen 2 one. I thought they botched the only one that was really, really cool was Cynthia Erivo and Billie Eilish. But otherwise, Eminem, what the fuck was going on there?
I actually thought it was hysterical.
Yeah, it was.
You
funny.
saw me because
Yeah.
okay. So full disclosure, we saw it together, right?
Yeah.
So when he pulled up in the 8 Mile, and there was a video for 8 Mile, and he was just sitting in the car, just chilling, and it's just Eminem chilling for like 30 seconds, and we're like, what is going on? And I think it might have been you who was like, wait, what is he gonna come out or something? And I was like, bro, I think he might come out.
Yeah.
And then he starts slowly driving. I'm like, bro, he's gonna come out. He's gonna come out. And then all of a sudden, palms sweaty, and he just starts. I started laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Because it's just so goofy, out of nowhere, funny.
Yeah.
It just
It's
felt
like 2002
so,
all
it's
over
the
again.
most like bizarre Oscar thing I've seen, and I loved every second of it because it was weird.
Yeah.
I just thought if they made it like 10 seconds and that would have been it would have been better. Not the whole song.
The reactions were fucking hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. Like, give us
see Scorsese
like it gave us memes. It gave us like at least
memes
it's
were good.
spicing things up. It made it like, you know, anyone who's falling asleep, it woke them up. Like, what is happening? Like, that's why I like weird stuff, and I thought that was weird. So I was actually kind of pro Eminem.
Yeah.
But the reason why they did that kind of was just
because he has an album out.
because he has an album out. Because they're like, here, he didn't perform last time and he won. Oh, look, we like hip hop.
But
We're
why?
not old white
that's
people.
What I'm saying. Like,
and it's
that's
just
so,
like
you chose the worst representative for hip hop.
Yeah.
Why can't they have a homie, you know, Juicy J and all them boys come up and do it's hard out here for a pimp. You won't want to hear that. They gave a brief.
Roddy Ricch comes out for some reason.
Oh, I would love to see Roddy Ricch. Hey, that would have been dope. That would have been fire. See again, you know, the same reason why Kendrick Lamar didn't show up last year to do all the stars. They're not representing the culture.
They really want.
Don't want to represent the Oscars,
but they want young people to tune in. They're trying so hard with the Billie Eilish, with the Janelle Monáe, with the Eminem.
I love Janelle Monáe, and
I do too.
By the way, Janelle Monáe would have been a perfect host. Like she's funny,
Yeah.
she's a great musical talent, and she's a great actress. Like she's the trifecta. But that opening, it was unwatchable.
It was pretty bad.
I literally looked over, and I was like, yo, I might just like walk. Like it was terrible. She kept trying to hand the mic to people, and they weren't singing. I'm like, yo, this is awkward. What's going on?
It just felt too much like, hey, look, guys, we're diverse. Look, it's Janelle Monáe, and it was like, I don't know. It felt too forced. But here's my hot take, and I know this is kind of funny because everyone keeps talking about ratings. Ratings. So low. No one cares. Can I give my biggest hot take? And I told you right before the award show started, when we sat down, I told you my biggest thing. The Oscars has like 200 commercials. Oh my God. That's why it's a 3.5 hour show, but also there's 200, literally one award commercial, another award commercial, 2 awards commercial.
It's like an award and a music performance thing commercial.
It's ridiculous. Cut the musical performances, expand the opportunity for people to get up there.
To be fair,
cut the commercials.
We didn't watch
them.
To be fair, we didn't watch the commercials.
No, but how many times did they cut?
Yeah,
how many times did they go up there and speak? Like, for crying out loud.
I feel like Jeff and Perry were just getting tired of
it was like
entertaining us every
ridiculous.
commercial.
That's just my thing too. It's like, if you want to do that, make it an event. Make it something where people can say, tune in to watch the Oscars because you're going to get the trailer to blah, blah, blah. Tune in to watch the Oscars because you're going to get the new TV spot for blah, blah, blah.
They dropped the trailer for The Irishman at last year's Oscars.
That's what I'm saying. If they do it more like stick around and people actually care to watch trailers, then maybe you can, finesse your way in there to be like, kind of like the Super Bowl, where people actually watch the Super Bowl and the commercials. They do both. Make it more like that and do it more about movies.
Yeah.
Where movie trailers premiere during the Oscars because it's a movie award show.
Yeah. They should have done the trailer for Dune. They could have done the trailer for Tenet.
Yeah. And then you can be like, tune in to watch it because we got the new, I don't know,
exclusive
Eternals trailer.
Yeah.
MCU
Eternals.
Oh,
that's easy. Yeah, Disney.
Yeah,
I was surprised there wasn't more
on.
Disney. I mean, obviously Toy Story 4 had their moment, but there wasn't a lot of Disney placement this year. I thought it was interesting.
That's my thing. Like, this show just drags on because of that.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it up with favorite moments and then favorite speeches, if you had a favorite speech.
Favorite speech. I don't know if I had a particular favorite speech. I loved the filmmakers for American Factory. I thought their speech was really powerful.
I've seen like 20 interviews with them already because I'm obsessed with them. And I told you guys like a couple weeks ago where I'm leaning towards stocks. And I'm actually planning stuff out, so I'm kind of like trying to learn from them. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think what they did, that speech was beautiful. I thought every speech Bong gave was absolutely beautiful. You could tell his first speech for the screenplay was really the only one he had written because he didn't really expect to win. I'm sure he expected to win Best Foreign Film too, but. Like, he didn't really give a fuck, like, after that. He didn't even think he was going to win Best Director or Best Picture. Like, he was just ready to chill. But I like the fact that he just went up there and just have fun, you know?
Yeah. And favorite moment?
Favorite moment? That's
really?
a good
You don't
question.
have a favorite moment? Can I say mine then?
Yeah, go
It might
go
be
ahead.
yours.
Yeah, go ahead.
When he won Best Director, and he gave that Martin Scorsese shout out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was definitely easy. I mentioned that before, but yeah, that was definitely my favorite moment.
Because to me, that was a moment where you recognize the greatness of the past that inspired the current winner of Best Director. And I think that was a perfect way to say, look, I'm inspired by Martin Scorsese. It's an honor, literally, to be nominated with him. Right. He is the one who made me go into filmmaking, and here I am, quote unquote, beating him. Not really beating him, but you know what I mean.
Right.
In the same category as him, and taking this award from my hero almost kind of thing. And it's such an honor to do that. And the fact that everyone just kind of got up and started applauding Martin because they were like, you know what? Irishman didn't win any awards. Yeah. That's Martin Scorsese for crying out loud. Yeah. Like, the least we can do is give him a round of applause and a standing ovation. And they did. And I thought that was a beautiful moment. And his shout out to Quentin Tarantino too was great. Yeah, I just thought his whole Best Director speech was like spot on. It was perfect.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I loved. I also liked a lot of montages too. I like the montages that they have for the. I like the way that they have with the best supporting actors or the best actors.
I was gonna say, did you like that?
I like that they.
A lot of people liked it.
Put them together like that. I thought that was really nice. Because you actually get to see what was nominated instead of just a picture of the faces.
But they usually do that. They usually cut to a clip.
Yeah, a clip. But I like that they show more range. You know, amongst like the fill, like comparing to the fill. I also liked the Cats moment when it came out.
Bro, I was crying. I laughed so hard, and it was the dumbest thing ever, but it was so freaking funny.
It was funny.
And they just kept slapping the mic.
Yeah.
And I was crying, laughing so hard. That was the funniest moment for me, and I can't believe it. I just thought it was so funny. Because you know what's funnier? I don't know if you caught this, but I caught this. I don't know if you caught this. Like look. When they cut back to them, when they first came out, they were like, and here are the nominees, and they cut back to them. Rebel Wilson literally goes, and the Oscar goes, and he interrupts her by slapping the mic. That wasn't planned. It wasn't, because I heard her say, and the Oscar go, and she said, and Oscar go, and he started slapping it, and she just went with it. I was like, that's comedy. That's peak comedy. That was my favorite moment when it comes to jokes.
That was great. Yeah, that was great. I thought a lot of people commented on Chris Rock and Steve Martin.
Yeah.
That was good.
Who do you think it was the best presenter? You think that those two, or?
I thought that one was a little awkward too, man. I thought that one was a little awkward, but I liked the Indian home, or I don't know if he was Indian, but the brown homie who was rapping. I thought that was great.
I can't lie. When he first said what he was doing, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But when he did it, I was like, oh, okay.
That was kind of hip.
It was cool. It was like a little shout out to each person who won.
Yeah.
Which would made it a little bit more personal to them and less to him, which felt very kind of good. Yeah. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I like that. I like obviously everybody's talking about Maya Rudolph and Kristen Wiig. Yeah. I thought that was funny too. There's some good moments. There's a lot of skipable moments. Oh, one speech that I liked was Brad Pitt. I like Brad Pitt's speech. But apparently he gets his speech is written for him.
Yeah, of course he does.
Yeah. Is that a normal thing?
Oh, did you not hear his, what was it, the Critics' Choice one or the BAFTA one? Yeah. Where he was like doing lines and quips and like.
Yeah, I thought they were all like funny and sharp. Yeah.
That was so pre-written. Like you can feel it. But the last moment was really nice what he said too.
Yeah.
About, being surrounded by his heroes and going up in this environment and being here for so long. Because dude, Brad Pitt's been around for a minute.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
1994, down on Louise.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, I love the Brad Pitt moment. I thought it was great, and I already said that I liked the Joaquin speech.
Yeah,
quite
and the tribute to River Phoenix was great too.
I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, those are our thoughts on the Oscars. Obviously, we started out by talking about what can change and what's the future. We finished talking about the actual show. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And you can follow us individually. I'm at Squad Leader Race.
I'm at Director RV3.
And be sure to follow First Cut TMO on Twitter and Instagram as well.
Follow Sabrina as well.
Oh, yeah, Sabrina as well. She gave her thoughts, so be sure to follow her as well. And those are our thoughts on the Oscars. So, representing the Meaning Of podcast, I am Andres.
This is RV3.
And we're peacing out. Peace out, guys.